angels crying out, singing holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Singing holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Singing holy, waiting my whole life for that day. Until then I live to hear you say, well done, my good and faithful one. Welcome to the place where you belong. Well done, my beloved child. You have run the race and now you're mine. Welcome to the place where you belong. Welcome to the place where you belong. Well done.
One thing I guess I'll start off with is a funny joke, because one of the first times I talked to Gannon, he has to start off with some type of funny joke, right, Sissy? Okay, you want to answer this one?
Yeah.
Why does a duck have feathers?
Because his butt quack.
So our Bubba is just a life. He smiles. He has a smile that just brightens up the room. And that happened the time he was able to smile. He just had a grace, an humbling spirit about him. I guess I can explain it as just an old man that would just sit and just have a heart of gold that would do anything for anybody. He didn't care who you are, what color you were, your disability. He didn't care where you came from. He seen your heart. And I think we all have a heart. All of that's the same. So my son, we all know that he started out really, really small. It's the first time I had a peace that passed all understanding. Me and Albert were on the way to Florence, and I remember hitting every single bump on the road. And just something warm just hit me from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, knowing everything was going to be okay. And when the nurses came in and they said, he'll have a 10% chance of survival, and I know Albert remembers this too, and when Ganon came out, he was in a little Ziploc bag. Hannah and Miss Debbie were there, big group of family, and if I didn't have my family there, I don't know what I would have done. To pull me through, to pull Albert through, to pull all of the visitors that had been praying. And at that point, many churches, many family members fell to their knees. The only closest thing that I can see to that is when Ganon went missing. Not just from the USA, not just from Colorado, or a little town in Loris, or Green Sea. You have it all over the world. And I've learned something. What I've learned is that things don't go our way. I've also learned the reason why Gannon is my hero, and sometimes I forget by the way I act. Sometimes we all get kind of caught up in the moment. But Gannon is my hero. He gives me life. And the moments that I would feel the lowest, you'd see him just run to the door and say, "Hey, my beautiful mommy." And it just made all the bad feelings go away. And he did the same thing for Bug. I remember Buggy. We were sitting there, and Daddy was there too, and we just told Gannon, we said, "Bubba, don't ever leave your sissy. Always stay beside her everywhere she goes." He never did. he was always there. A brother, which goes by Bubba. He was a brother to many, many families, many nephews, many nieces. And I think we can all say one thing in common, is there was not many people like him. I was chosen to be a mom of an angel. Albert, you were chosen to be a father of an angel. Lena, Nova, you were chosen to be a sister of an angel. And the people that are here, you've had experience of an angel. And I also want to take this time to say, I've had wrongdoings. And for the people that I've wronged, I just want to say I'm sorry, because I'm not representing who my son is. And he's done just that. He is my G-man. The reason for G-man is because he's a gentleman. He'd open the doors. He'd say, yes, ma'am. He'd say, no, sir. You didn't really have to tell him much. He knew where to go. The only time you'd have to tell him something was when he's with the kids or he's trying to get candy and he was the first one in the pot. So he might get a little rough then and there. One thing that I remember the most is that he just loved music. He loved family time. He loved funnel vision. And he was singing. Every time that you would see Gannon, he was humming some song where it was, I'm blue, da be dee, whatever it was. He was always singing. I remember the song California Dreamin'. I think Azzy and Camille, I think you guys remember that he sings it. You remember it too?
Yeah, it's like, what did you say?
California Dreamin'. So he always kept our music alive. He'd be sitting in the back. He beatboxes better than most people. He can hear sounds and music that I can't hear. He was so in tune with life, so talented in many different ways. So many more ways than most of us sitting in the room. And that I can say that I'm so honored to be his mom, to be in his life, to have the people here. Because Gannon's not only my hero, he's your hero. And it means the world to me. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that is here, for all the pouring loves from everywhere, from everything that was made, every letter, every card, every banner that was signed, every Facebook message, every letter that was sent in the mail, every light, every memorial, just means so much. And I remember when Gannon was born, that I knew he had a special calling. And Mommy had a gut feeling for a long time. And you're a real life princess. You're going to do anything in this world. And I know you can. And Bubba's going to be right there beside you. And for Nova and Lena, you had a brother that stuck to you like glue. He wouldn't want you to fall. He wouldn't want you to get hurt. He was Mr. Fix-It.
Only when I said I was going to go tail, he said no, and then he just made me cheer up and forget about it.
Yeah, so he'd make her cheer up. So, but I knew Gannon had a special calling. I thought it was he would grow up and we'd see him leading many people, or whether it would be speaking, coding. I just knew that he had a huge calling, and I didn't know at 11 years old the calling that he would have. I'd still have him here with me. And I know that all of you would love to see him here with you too. But we have an angel among us. And I love you all. And I thank you for being here. I love you, Sissy. I love you, Nova.
Bubba was the nicest person, my only brother and my favorite brother. Every time I was going to tell on him, he just made me laugh and forget about it. We always had lots of fun. I love him, and he's the greatest person in the whole wide world that I know. We went to the pool together. We played Fortnite together. We played Fortnite in real life together. We played with all of our toys in Nana's room. He would make me foods, say when we need to go take a bath or shower, and watch TV with me downstairs. I love you, Bubba, and I miss you.
Amazingly beautiful young child that didn't deserve what came his way. And so the judge should be in any time. I have it on the screen. Let me take the verdict watch off. It ended at about 8 hours total. Not bad, huh? Can everybody hear me okay? Let me know real quick in chat if you can hear me. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I've been on pins and needles all weekend, this morning, just as all of you are. But once I saw that tweet as soon as it went out, I think there was maybe 10 likes on it, and my heart just, everything sunk. And I can't imagine how Gannon's parents are feeling right now. And I hope Leticia is feeling nothing but impending doom, and that her anxiety, that generalized anxiety disorder she has, I hope it is sky high right now. What I am hearing is that, that was my timer going off. They should be starting anytime now. What I am hearing is that the sentencing does come immediately afterwards. I'm not 100% positive, but it's a pretty good source. So I think that will happen. I'm not sure, though. How's everybody feeling about it? I feel like the jury actually has come to a fairly quick decision, considering the mountains of evidence that there is. I think they're going to come to the right one. I think that they are going to find her guilty and not insane. Yes, I do too, Patricia. Hope her sphincter is choking her. Or her hair around her neck. I don't know, something. It felt like a long weekend, didn't it? I was kind of able to step away from this for a little bit, knowing that they weren't going to come back during the weekend, but knowing that today was coming. It's such a mixture of happiness, sadness. I don't think any of us can truly describe how we feel. Yeah, she's narcissistic, not insane. I agree, Mountain Girly. It was an extra long weekend, Peacock. Definitely it was. All right. Hopefully they're coming in any minute. This morning, the judge did come on just very briefly. The jury had 2 questions. I didn't record that. It really wasn't much of a big deal in the grand scheme of things. So I didn't want to play a live all day where I was just sitting here trying to find things to play or to talk about. So real quick, I do want to thank all of you guys for being here throughout this trial. It's been amazing chatting and getting to know everybody. You guys are just wonderful. So thank you. Thank you so much to Deanna and Peacock for moderating. There's not much for them to do, but it's appreciated regardless. So thank you to both of you. Yeah, Patricia, the memorial and all those photos, they choke me up every time, but I thought it was the perfect opening for what will be the finality. Yeah, I've covered an awful lot of Summer's case. I still do if there's anything I feel like is, you know, information that is legitimate and not just drama kind of stuff. But you know, her parents do a lot of drama related things that I find kind of interesting. So in that case, I will make a video and put it out. We will do another case next. I just don't know what to do. What do you guys think? There's just so many, isn't there? Come on, Judge. You're giving me bad anxiety. We really did, Deanna. We did manage to make this horrible tragedy a good time, and I thank you guys for that. It is pretty sad, isn't it, Renee, when there's so many different cases that you don't even know where to start. Some are just horrific. It is pretty sad, isn't it, Renee, when there's so many different. The Oklahoma one, obviously, because I live in Oklahoma, but the nature of the crimes has me pretty interested. So maybe we can start covering that. Although sadly, he took the P way out of it and got rid of himself. So those families will never see any justice. We'll definitely cover Brian Kohlberger. We'll definitely cover Sarah Boone, the suitcase lady. And I think there's another one as well. Now, Idaho 4 is really interesting. There's just so much information circulating, some true, some not true, that it's sometimes it feels kind of hard to keep up with it. It is hard to keep up with them all. I haven't kept up with most others during this trial because I wanted to solely devote my time to justice for Gannon. So I didn't hop around at all. I haven't made any other videos, maybe one during this trial, but that will soon change while Leticia goes away and rots somewhere. Yeah, the Daybell one is going on, and I kind of follow Twitter for that, but it's another one with a huge, huge amount of information, and it's horrible. So we are waiting for the jury and the judge to come in the room. Their screen is still black, as you can see. They should be in at any moment. Renee, the Daybell trial does put this one to shame. There's just so much craziness involved. It's really kind of unbelievable. I followed it as far as I know the facts of it and things like that. But yeah, she is all in the name of that religion, whatever her religion was. But it will be interesting to find out what, how that one ends up as well. Deanna, what are you thinking today? Because you've kind of held a lot of judgment till everything was over, and have you formed a strong opinion? It is 2:30 and they should be in there like now. That's what I want to know, Peacock. I feel like we already know what the outcome's going to be. At least I'm praying for that outcome. But I am curious what the judge is going to have to say to her. I know, Renee, right? Every time I don't hear any noise from there or their video doesn't come on, I always think, oh my gosh, did I do something? But I usually check other channels too, and everybody has the same screen, so we're good for now. So you were thinking if they went to tomorrow, I'd be hung. Yeah, this morning I think sent a lot of people into panic with the jury immediately asking some questions. So many people thought that there was, probably one holdout or so that they needed to convince. If it had been a hung jury, I think the judge would have sent them back in to continue to discuss it until they could come to a unanimous one. Do you think that Leticia will have any kind of reaction once the verdicts are read? You might be right, Peacock. You might be right. One last fling, one last hug before she goes bye-bye. This morning while waiting, I was going back through like all of the old Facebook posts and comments and things like that, and the responses that Leticia had made. It was wild. It was wild. She has her back to the camera today, Patricia. I feel like they won't allow her to do that. However, she's gotten away with quite a bit so far. Maria and her huge muscles. Oh, yeah. You're talking about the one with the reporter there by her house. So do you guys think she's going to have any emotion? Or will she just be stone cold, put her hair over her face, that kind of thing? I'm hoping Maria comes out. I agree, Deanna. I think she'll be stone cold. I don't know if she's even capable of normal emotion. I don't know, but I sure wish they would hurry up. Real quick, maybe I'll play this while we're waiting.
Drinking warm water before bed balances blood sugar levels and burns fat through the night.
Hold off on questions until we know that this person, the stepmom that I even trusted, that she will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done. And I know that that's going to will be done. So I ask you guys, I beg and plead if you've known or if you see this story, all of you have seen this story, please hold that very close to you. Because I want to live this earth knowing that justice was served for my boy. And I know that you've seen pictures, you've seen stories, you've seen my little man. He is truly my hero. And I'm gladly giving that to you guys too, that he can be your hero. I've heard stories of people that have not prayed in years, that have finally fell on their knees to pray. And I know where my son's at, without a shadow of a doubt. So many families have been brought closer together because of this. I know my boy is special, and I've told my people and my family and friends that Gannon has a testimony, that Gannon has a story. He's special. And this is his story. So make that story magnificent, who my child is.
I don't have a camera.
And I'm putting my trust
over here
into
this
you
time.
guys to do that.
They're not on yet.
So thank you for allowing Gannon to be your hero and sharing him with us.
Okay. All right. Court will call
right, they're
20
here.
CR 1358. People versus Leticia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury is not present in the courtroom. I've been advised that the jury has reached verdicts in this case. Before I bring the jury in, I want to remind everybody of a couple of things. First of all, if you have a phone out, put it away, unless you are in this front row. In addition, I know that this is an emotional case. I get that. I understand that, really I do. But this jury has worked hard. So regardless of whether you agree with or don't agree with their verdict, you need to exercise appropriate decorum. So let's not have any emotional outbursts or anything like that. And I think we're good to go. Let's go ahead and bring the jury in, now that I have you doing something else. Okay. But they all seem to be on. It doesn't matter to me. I see it. So long as it's broadcasting, I just wanted to make sure that was not the issue. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. May all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Leticia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I see that juror number 5, that would be you, has all the instructions and things like that. That's usually a tip-off to me that you might be the foreperson. Are you in fact the foreperson? And has the jury reached verdicts in this case? All right, if you would hand the instructions and the verdict forms to Mr. Sproul, please. Thank you.
He's saying it'll
All right,
be
the
okay,
verdict forms
sweet
do
pea.
appear to be in proper order. I will have a question for you because there's some extra writing on here, but I think I understand what's going on. So with respect to count number 1, charge of murder in the first degree after deliberation, we, the jury, find the defendant Leticia Stauch guilty of count number 1, murder in the first degree after deliberation. With respect to count number 2, charge of murder in the first degree, child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, we, the jury, find the defendant Leticia Stauch guilty of count number 2, murder in the first degree, child under 12, position of trust. With respect to count number 3, charge of tampering with a deceased human body, we, the jury, find the defendant Leticia Stauch guilty of count number 3, tampering with a deceased human body. With respect to count number 4, charge of tampering with physical evidence, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letecia Stauch, guilty of count number 4, tampering with physical evidence. I wanted to ask the jury, or actually the foreperson, there is some extra writing on here with respect to question number 1. There's a cross through and some initials. And then on part B, there's also a cross through with initials. Was that signifying that you were not answering that and you intended to answer guilty as to that charge?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is that what you intended with all of the other verdict forms?
Yes, sir.
All right. With that, does either side wish to have the jury poll the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, what this means is that this is a process that is sometimes requested by the attorneys following a verdict to make sure that everybody has agreed on all parts of it. So I'll go down the row, starting in the back. Juror number 1, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 2, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 3, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 4, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 5, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 6, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 7, is this and are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 8, is this and are these your verdicts?
Yes,
Juror number 9, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 10, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 11, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 12, is this and are these your verdicts?
Your Honor.
I want to thank all of you for your service. Jurors don't get a lot of training. However, you all were selected because you were willing to be open-minded and impartial, and were willing to make decisions based on the facts and the law. You, the jury, heard and saw the evidence. You paid attention all day, every day. Someone else may tell you they disagree with your verdict or some aspect of your service. They may want to express their opinion on the matter. However, we didn't ask them for any of their opinions. We asked you for your judgment. We asked you for your verdict based on the law and based on the evidence. Someone else may tell you they think they're better and smarter and more intuitive than all of you were. Ignore them. As a judge, rarely does a day go by that I don't make somebody in the courtroom mad. The fact that some people may disagree with your verdict or the law only means that those who disagree with you were not carefully selected to be fair and impartial. They did not take an oath to follow the law and to judge all of the facts, and they see it differently from you because they didn't see it all from the perspective you did. And they did not discuss the facts with 11 others who were also fair and impartial and sworn to follow the law. You decided this case. This verdict is your verdict. And this is the verdict in the case. No poll, no approval or disapproval, and no press analysis changes that fact. This is the verdict in the case. The press or someone else at some point may wish to talk to you. We live in a world of exceptional voyeurism in reality TV, and this is about as real as it gets. They may try to dissect the evidence, your thought process, and your decision. It's a free country. Anyone can ask you anything about your verdict. You can answer if you choose. They can also, however, respect your privacy and allow you to contact them only if you want to talk to them. And if you don't want to, you don't have to talk to anyone about your verdict. If you do talk with someone, you can tell them as little or as much as you like. Someone may even ask you to give an affidavit regarding some aspect of your jury service. You're free to give an affidavit. You're free to decline to give an affidavit. That is a personal decision you are entitled to make. If anyone continues to talk to you after you have told them you do not want to speak about the matter or becomes critical of you or your jury service, please report that incident to me. Again, I want to thank you very much for your service. Without honest people of our community serving on jurors, we cannot secure the right to a jury trial in this country. And it's a very valuable and a very important right. I want to leave you with some language from a case that was decided by the United States Supreme Court in Louisiana versus Duncan. In that case, an individual was denied the right to a jury by trial, or a trial by jury, sorry. And that case went all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court sent it back to the state of Louisiana. And it said, you need to give this man what the Constitution requires, which is a trial by jury. And when it sent the case back to Louisiana, it said, we believe that trial by jury is fundamental to the American scheme of justice. Trial by jury is more than an instrument of justice and more than one wheel of the Constitution. It is the lamp that shows that freedom lives. Without your dedication and sacrifice, that lamp would not shine as brightly as it does. So I truly thank you for your service. You are now discharged with the thanks of the court. And for the last time, all rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. I don't know how you want to proceed on sentencing. I do need to talk to the jury for a few minutes because I need to tell them some things about security issues, counseling issues, and things like that. So I do need to talk with them for a few minutes. I also didn't know if the family, the prosecution, anybody wanted to have some time to process the verdicts. I also understand that everybody's been here for 5 weeks, so I get that part too. So I'm open to whatever you want to do with respect to sentencing, but I probably am going to need at least a half an hour with the jury.
I think that would be appropriate, Judge. The people are obviously ready to go to immediate sentencing. I believe defense is as well. And,
Okay.
And I can tell you that the family's been thinking about this day for over 3 years. They're ready to go to sentencing as well.
Okay, then give me about 30 minutes and we will come back and proceed to sentencing at that point in time.
All right.
She's gonna yawn during this. I'd like to just slap her silly, rolling her eyes, yawning. Jeez. I didn't realize that Landon is sitting in front of Al, kind of over to the right. Well, good job, Teabag. You're now officially as hated as Casey Anthony. I don't think it's the last we're going to hear from Leticia. I think that she's going to cause mayhem while she's in prison, without a doubt. So the judge is going to speak to the jury for about 30 minutes or so, and then they are going to do their sentencing today. And I like what the prosecutor said, that, you know, the family has had 3 years to think about this day. They don't need any more time. They want her sentenced, and they want to be able to carry on with their lives the best that they can. her attorney's still sitting there rocking back and forth irritates me as well. He is probably the most unprofessional attorney I've ever watched. Yeah, they do sometimes string cheese. Sometimes they will do the sentencing so soon. It's definitely the right thing, Peacock. I agree. And everybody's had plenty of time to think about it, including the judge, you know. But what I really am interested in hearing is what the judge has to say to the monster. Lifetimes 4. Crazy how we sit through a trial for this long and then it takes the jury, 10 minutes or so, for the verdict to be read. Not even that long. And just like that, it's done. Now, I don't think she cares what happens to her either, Deanna. That's why she's sitting there the way she is. She knew. And I'm sure her attorneys prepped her as well. Like, you're not getting out of this. Or at least you would hope they did. So they just cut off their WebEx. I'll watch for it to come back on. I feel bad for Harley too, but hopefully she's already come to terms with this. She seems to be doing well, although social media sometimes can serve as a filter for what's really going on in someone's life. But I do hope that she is doing well, that she's coping with it, she's had therapy, and that she too can move on and put this behind her. She might be feeling relieved, Peacock. She might. Harley said on her Instagram page that she has started therapy. That's great. She's probably going to need a whole lot of it. Bye, Patricia. Thank you. They will do the sentencing, so I am just going to put this on break for about the next 20 minutes or so until they come back into the courtroom. Hi, Mountain Girl. So while we're waiting, if you guys all want to take a quick break yourselves, the sentencing portion will most likely take a little bit longer than what reading the verdicts did. So that'll be really interesting to watch and listen to. So real quick, I'm going to put up a graphic for waiting on the sentencing. That's awesome, Mountain Girl. Where did you, how did you find out about the channel? And thank you very much for being here, all of you. I appreciate it. I truly do. I'm just reading some tweets from Twitter, and one of them, when Leticia's attorney leaned over to her and they talked real quick, and then she kind of grinned. Someone said, the judge said to the jury, someone else may tell you they don't agree with your judgment. And then Leticia's attorney leaned into her and whispered, like us, despite the judge still speaking, and Leticia smiled. She showed no emotion as they read her verdict. Well, that's awesome, Mountain Girl. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking a chance. Yeah, like Deanna said, we have a really good group of people. The channel's still growing. For the last year, I mainly did uploads, and I've really only gone live during this trial. So it's still growing and very much drama free. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinions respectfully. We enjoy the different opinions, and we're glad you're here. I'm so glad that the jury didn't fall for Dr. Lewis's BS. I haven't either, Peacock. So much unprofessionalism in those two attorneys, but especially the one that she sits right next to. Deanna, why did you miss that appointment? Yeah, we definitely had a lot of entertaining moments in the chat and stuff during this. And while we all know that it was a very serious situation, you deal with things the way you can. And after weeks of hearing these things daily, we absolutely did have fun making fun of Leticia, making fun of her attorneys, watching the judge put his eyes up to the ceiling, like, let me get out of here and go get a shot of whiskey. Let me pull WebEx back up and see if they see what they're doing. Yeah, Deanna, you're not going to heal if you don't get into that doctor. But truth be told, I would have missed a serious doctor's appointment for this. Absolutely, I would have. So I'm just seeing if they actually have their WebEx up or if it just went out for me. You guys just continue chatting. I'm just trying to open up the WebEx again. I don't know if they shut it off or if I lost it. So. I would play some music, but Deanna is always telling me I need a new playlist. So I'm not going to do that. It'll put everybody to sleep for sure. while I'm still sorting this out. Yeah, Deanna, she will not be going to a mental hospital. She'll be going to state prison. And I do think that they will read victim impact statements today. So they're still not back in there. Oh, we got something. Yeah, my phone's over here blowing up as well. As if I'm not watching it, right? So real quick, while we're waiting, I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be right back. I don't know. I don't know how else she could have pleaded, really. There was just so much evidence against her. And I think that the only chance they had was to go the insane route. Right, Raiders? So, Colorado does not have the death penalty. So it will be for life. They got rid of it just 2 or 3 years ago. Yep, she'll have life without parole. So it was about 23 minutes ago when the judge said he needed about a half hour with the jury, and then he would go on to the sentencing phase. One of the reporters on Twitter said many tears on the faces of Gannon Stauch's biological family members. You could hear the tears. You could hear the tears as they learned that the jury found Leticia guilty on all charges before them. I know the judge said like no emotional outbursts or anything, but obviously family could not help themselves from crying. And you could see Al, like every time they read the next verdict, he put his face in his hands and put his head down. And he was obviously very emotional. I didn't see Landon until they stood up, so I couldn't see her reactions, but no doubt they were the same. Deanna, you're being feisty today. Make room for the next. But I do agree with Raiders. Yeah, she really is a waste. There's She's just going to be a body sitting in a prison. But like I said earlier, I don't think it's the last we're going to hear from her. I think she's going to do crazy, crazy kind of shit while she's in there. I mean, she already has before, so no reason to think she won't now, right? So they should only have maybe 4 minutes or so left, depending on how long the judge is taking. Right? I mean, the truth hurts, doesn't it, Raiders? Yeah, I'm curious too, Deanna, but I don't think she will because she's maintained all along it was Maria. But God, wouldn't this be such a triggering event that one of those other personalities would have come out? I mean, one would definitely think, right? But no, she was just stone cold. She even giggled a little bit and smirked and If you're just joining us, we're just waiting for court to come back on video, and the judge will proceed with sentencing. You know, watching that video of Landon earlier after it was announced that Leticia had been arrested for Gannon's murder, and even then how well composed, though obviously extremely upset, Landon was. I can't say enough about how I feel about how strong and classy she has been this entire time. And she's truly done her son right. She really has. And I don't know how a mom can do it. I guess you never know how strong you are until you have to be strong, for sure, right? Also, Landon and Al do both have GoFundMe accounts. They've been at this courtroom every day. They both have lost time from work and what have you. They do have GoFundMe accounts, and you can very easily find those if you do feel that you are able and want to help them out. No, I don't think she'll ever apologize or take responsibility either, Raiders. I don't know about you guys, but my stomach's still in knots. Even though we have the verdict, I already felt that's the verdict we were going to get. But this part that we're waiting on, that's the part I am really anxious for. And if his parents stand up and give victim impact statements, I will probably bawl like a baby. Right along with every one of you. Letecia Stauch is now being handcuffed in the courtroom. That is from KDVR anchor reporter in Denver, Colorado. Yes, Landon lives in South Carolina. So since they have her in the courtroom cuffed, I would imagine that the judge will be coming in at any moment. At least I hope so. There we go. Let me make this bigger. Turn off my mic for you guys.
Right, for sure. All right. All right, court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia Stauch. My understanding is that both sides are prepared to proceed to sentencing. Is that accurate? Prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Before we start, well, first of all, I assume that we're going to have some family members.
We have some family members and other people that were affected by this
Okay.
case that would like to speak, yes.
Sure. All right. Before we start, I want to remind everybody that I am the person that imposes the sentence in this case. That means that when you come up to the podium, you address all your comments to me. You need to do that in a respectful fashion. Remember the decorum. You guys have done great for the last 5 or 6 weeks. And I know we're at the end now, but it's still important to continue with that type of appropriate and proper conduct. So if there's anyone that is going to speak as to sentencing, you don't turn and face the defendant. All your comments are directed to me. In addition, Ms. Stauch, you'll have an opportunity to make a statement to the court as well. Same rule applies to you. Your comments are directed to me. You don't turn and face anybody in the gallery or anybody else. If you have any comments, you make them to me. So with that, prosecution.
Judge, before we get started, I just got a notification that it sounds like maybe on WebEx, your mic might be off, or I was just getting a notification that people are not hearing that.
It looks like it's on. Or my tab says it's on.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
He says it's working.
Okay.
It may not have been on a little bit ago, and we were having a technical issue, and I think it got restarted, so I think we're okay now.
Okay.
So, but if you continue to get messages, let me know.
I will do, Judge.
Okay.
The first person that would like to make a statement to the court is Nicole.
All right.
And I'll have each person spell their name for the court report.
Yes. All right. Just step up to the podium there and just state your name and then tell me what you have to tell me.
Nicole Mobley, Nicole Mobley. I just want to initially thank you for everything that you've done through all of this, as well as the prosecution. This has been well over 3 years of a family, as well as hundreds or thousands of us who have gone through a lot. It's been hard. It's been heartbreaking. And to finally see some kind of justice, especially for his family, is incredible. And I just want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have done.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jane?
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Janie Cadenas.
All right. Can you spell that last name?
Cadenas.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, like what Nicole said, wanted to thank you for making this such a fair and neutral trial through the process. I am here today as I have sat with the family for the last 3 years as a community member in Larson Ranch who has watched the turmoil that this has caused everybody in our community. 3 years ago, we heard as a neighborhood what happened, that a little boy went missing, and we rallied together in a way that most communities can never experience or imagine. We came together and we helped find ways to get media involved, to get search parties involved, to do everything we could to be of assistance to find this little boy, because Gannon wasn't just a neighbor, he was all of our little boys. For months and months until he was found, we were all scared to let our kids go outside because we were scared that they would be kidnapped. We didn't know what was going to happen. And through that process, we all came together and we met Landon and Al, those of us that didn't know them, and we built relationships and friendships and garnered a family relationship with them through that process. But this is just one thing that, as a community member, somebody who was a part of it from the beginning, that I can confidently say, this is the worst tragedy that anybody could ever go through.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Jeff Davenport, Jeffdavenport.
Right.
I am Gannon's great uncle. I'm Albert's uncle, and my sister Debbie, who hopefully will be speaking in a few minutes, is his grandmother. Because I am a couple of steps away from him in relation, even though I have personal memories of Gannon and the loving, wonderful young man that he was and the great man he would have been. I want to leave the depth of impact to his parents. So I would like to talk about the breadth of impact. The preciousness of an 11-year-old's life is beyond measure, and all other impacts to all the rest of us pale in comparison to the loss he suffered himself. But this now convicted murderer did not just murder Gannon. She murdered all of the love and joy and encouragement and security he would have brought to all those he encountered throughout his life. She murdered his children and his grandchildren, and all of the joy and love and encouragement and security they would have brought to all those they encountered throughout their life, and so on and so on. She murdered his junior prom, his senior prom, his high school graduation, his college years, his career, his marriage, his retirement, and his golden years, and it just goes on and on. Because of her crime, all of our fragile trust in one another has been further eroded. It's not an exaggeration to say that millions of people throughout the world have heard of this crime and will, as a consequence, be less trusting and more suspicious of those in whose care they entrust their children, even those who have loved and cared for their children for years. And because of her specious, cynical, calculated use of the NGRI defense in this case, those who are truly mentally ill will be treated with more suspicion and may not receive the help that they need. The reverberations of her murder of Gannon will ripple throughout eternity, and the impact of her crime is truly incalculable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Judge. It's Veronica Birkenstock, spelled Veronica, Birkenstock, Birkenstock. I am Landon's Aunt Veronica, or Aunt V, Gannon's great aunt. Nothing in life prepares you for the murder of a child. No one ever thinks this can happen to your family. A little over 3.5 years ago, I got a call, a very dreaded call, that I needed to come and be with Landon. For over 3 years, I have dear left her side in all the hearings, all the motions, and all the hearings that the defendant decided not to come to because she didn't think it was important. But regardless, we showed up, and we showed up for Gannon. I want to talk about forgiveness today because as a Christian, I have to forgive, not because I want to, because human flesh does not want to. The judge today, on behalf of Landon and I, we want this court to know that we have forgiven Leticia for what she did. God is the ultimate judger. But I pray today that you, Judge, will give her what she deserves on this earth and will let God do the rest in eternity. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I would like to leave this Bible. And at some point in time, if you think it's okay, to give to Leticia as she serves her life sentence. And we hope that will be the punishment that you render shortly. But this is a life application Bible. For the rest of her natural life, I hope she will read the Word of God. And I hope that she will turn from her evil ways and the things that she did to our family. I have sat here for 6 weeks, and I have listened to the horrendous things that she did to my nephew. I don't want the last memory of him to be what she did to him. Our last memory of Ganon was one of fun, love, joy. So articulate, and despite everything, he was gifted and talented. He wasn't supposed to live. The day he was born, the doctors told us he had really no chance. He weighed 1 pound and a few ounces. I'll never forget the picture that Albert sent when he took his wedding ring and it would fit all the way to his shoulder. For months, I saw Landon and Albert pray over their baby. And one of the happiest days was the day he got to come home. And I was there with them. I got to spend the first night holding him for the first time and looked in his beautiful little eyes, and he fought so hard to get there. His 11 years did have impact. And I want us to remember Gannon is who he was, not what this evil deed did to his memory. He is our hero and will always be our hero. Leticia tried to steal many things from my niece. She called her a drug addict. She called her homeless when she was in the hospital having her third child. She was there for months and months trying to save her life and her baby. She wasn't homeless. Landon's a good mother. She loved her children. And she loved Gannon. And her only son was taken away by someone who was just ferociously jealous of my niece. With all that being said, I pray that you will give her the sentence that she deserves. But I also pray that God will forgive her if she repents and turns from her evil ways.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Allen?
My name is Bob Rogers, B-O-B, R-O-G-E-R-S. My wife Patty and I are grandparents to Lena and Gannon, who we never had the opportunity to meet in person. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of tears and challenges with Al, if we hopefully helped him walk through this tragedy. The person that comes to mind for me is Lena. Lena is Gannon's younger sister. And we have the opportunity to be grandparents to her. And she's a beautiful child. She sings beautifully. She's talented. What she doesn't have is an older brother to stand beside her as she goes through her life. She still mentions Gannon quite often, her brother. We never want the spirit of Gannon or the memory of Gannon to be lost. So I just am a loss for words. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I am Deborah Pierce, P-E-A-R-C-E. Sorry. Gannon's grandmother. And I just wanted to thank you, first of all, Your Honor, for this court and everything that's been done, for everyone who has so carefully and impartially cared for this case, for this loss of this precious child. And I feel that if Gannon were here today, he would say, please, please protect my family and be concerned for the loss that they've had. This has gone from my children to my grandchildren, little children who lost a cousin who never understood why something like this could happen. If he were here today, he would say, please take care of my family. Make sure that they're protected as time goes on and as life goes on. And obviously, to help us to go forward in this life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Landon Bullard, also referred to as Hyatt in this case, but Bullard's B-U-L-L-A-R-D. I miss you, Gannon, and I love you to the moon and back again. I know every day you're with me and your sisters, but that will never be taken away. The ache that I have for you to hold you, to hug you, to tell you how much I love you, and to see your smile and your innocence. I remember all the pain your dad and I suffered with having children. It was never easy, and we were always fearful through the process. On September the 29th, 2008, our lives were forever changed. Our first biggest blessing came into the world, weighing only 1 pound and 6 ounces. You fought all the odds and developed a personality and a smile that's larger than life. You became my hero that day. You forever changed my heart and my life, and that will never change. That is something that can never be taken away from me. You came into this world fighting. And unfortunately, you left this world fighting. Your Honor, she fought against someone that he loved and trusted. Someone that myself and Albert both trusted and loved. Someone who can never understand what it means to love or trust anyone but herself. For more than 3 agonizing years, I've often wondered what I may say, or if I would even be able to. For 3 years, I have questioned every single possibility and scenario. For 3 years, I have tried to forgive you, but I can't. I want to. But no parent should have to bury their child. No parent should have to see or hear the horrific things you have done to the whole family. She has taken away the most precious gift in this world. Not just my family, not Al's family, but your own family. She destroyed dozens of lives of people who never wanted to believe that she could have done this. She knew how special Ganon was, and she knew what meant to most of me. I, in my heart, can never understand her hatred and insecurities. When it came to me, I did love her. Mother to mother, I trusted her with my children while trying to survive a complicated life with my 3rd child. And she used every opportunity to write a narrative of my life to try to take pieces of my life. When she already took some of it, that still wasn't enough. She searched. I lost my place. I don't know where I'm at now. She searched so hard for love when all along she had it, but she took it for granted. I didn't hold anger against you then. I still kept my heart open to her. You had so much love from Lena and Gannon, from Harley, her own daughter, that you willingly subjected to the chance of serving time for her crimes. Such an indicator of her inability to love anyone herself. You had support, appreciation for me, even when we couldn't see eye to eye, because I valued her for helping me with our children when I physically couldn't. Even when I was fighting for my kids, as you wrote, a false smear campaign against me and my children, and also Al. For me, I still appreciated that they were loved by you. So I thought. She had everyone fooled. She projected abuse and addiction claims against all of us, not just me, when all along she was the one harming innocent children. Anything to take the light off, manipulating us, breaking my kids, and murdering my son. I can't say that she ruined my life, because that would be some form of sick victory for her. Because even through this process, it's been a game to her. The people who listened doesn't know her style or her sly jabs. She's even made at Albert and I. They do not know the significance of certain things she says or does. But we do. Instead of allowing her to take that power of hurting me further, I wanted to tell you this. Let me tell you what Ganon has done. Even to this day, even after you murdered him and she tried to taint any positive image of him, He has caused families and communities to come together. Children and adults have given their life to Christ. He has called unity in times of trial. He is a hero. She even tried to steal that away. A cape, huh? The one image of Ganon that was created for the world. After it went national, TV begging for the return of my son, my hero. How dare her? How truly sick and cruel is she? You stole so much from this world. Ganon's cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, new siblings, grandparents, and friends are missing a huge portion of their lives without Ganon. Lena is missing her brother. Your Honor, I've never seen a bond between two siblings so close as theirs. She had to take that. Why? I'm afraid we may never know that answer, will we? I show his baby sister Nova pictures and videos of Ganon so she will always remember who he is, because she stole him from us. He is not forgotten and never will be. And it's so sad to sit here today and face her, a person even Ganon loved, one that I know while she was attacking and killing him and fought for his life, he defended himself against her, still loving her. A love she never deserved from him for what she has done. While she is too much of a coward to even come forward with the truth, she owes it to Ganon. But the lack of remorse and the lack of respect to Ganon through this child, her lack of compassion shows me that we were all wrong. She manipulated all of us and never loved Ganon, Lena, or Harley. I've sat here for over a month having to listen to her sick lies, even as she tried to destroy who I was and Albert as a father. I've had to sit and listen and watch every reenactment of images no one wants left in their mind. You wanted to leave us with that, knowing it would torture us. But you underestimated me. I am Landon, Gannon's mom, and that will never change. Through my hurt, anger, and pain, I will never be the monster that she is. I can never be filled with the hate that her heart holds. I pray that we will never have to look at her face again. I will continue to hold on to my faith. Vengeance is not mine, as I surely wish it could be at times, but it's the Lord's. I have to trust in that. Thank you, Judge Warner, for your compassion, your patience through this trial. I want to thank the juror for their attentiveness and time that they took for justice for my boy, to the detectives, officers, legal team for every single second they've poured out into Gannon's case, and to the community for your countless hours. Tisha, that was her biggest mistake. You underestimated this community and this defensive team, Lorson Ranch. They searched for and fought for Gannon within hours, and they never believed your lies from the moment they started. None of these people ever gave up on him. You never looked. All of these people I will forever hold close to my heart. Always Gannon strong. My G-men forever. Justice has been served today. Your Honor, I pray that you just give her the best sentencing, the longest sentencing that you can. This will not bring my son back, but I can sleep soundly for the first time in 3 years, knowing that you can never harm, this defendant can never harm anyone again, knowing Gannon will always be a true hero in a cape. He will always be my son. That will never be taken away.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Allen?
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. It was a big, big world, but we thought we were bigger. Pushing each other to the limits, we were learning quicker.
Stauch, Gannon's father, capital F-A-T-H-E-R. Last name Stauch. Stauch. I'm going to start with something from my wife, not to go out of order, but she didn't think she could make it through it. So this is my wife, Melissa, and these are her words. Some may say or think that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Tisha. In part, that may be accurate, and I would be okay with that, because then Gannon would still be here. I, too, know the pain of losing a child, and there is no greater pain. We are now lifelong grief partners, as this is a lifelong journey of pain with 2 sons waiting for us in heaven. I have some words from my daughter, Elena. I will address in the middle of my speech, but they're written in yellow, so I don't know if I can leave it to a child. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. The poem I read is named Invictus, translated from the Latin means unconquerable. I quoted this same poem at Gannon's memorial here in Colorado Springs back in August of 2020. Why August of 2020? When his body was ripped to shreds on January 27th? Well, as we heard testimony to, his body was found 1,370 miles away. And then the process to identify his maggot-infested remains withheld him from us until July 2020. As I stated in my testimony on the stand, Gannon was born severely premature and barely filled my 2 hands the first time I held him. At the end of his life, after his body was cremated into he was ultimately no bigger than the first time I held him. I'm thankful to God and the bridge workers for finding him and returning his precious body to Landon and I. I quote the poem Invictus again, not to boast of my strength and perseverance, Your Honor, but to say to the world, I alone can control my actions and reactions. Your Honor, I refuse to allow anger to poison my soul and orient my life to a pursuit of vengeance. I refuse to allow pain to carry me through each day and promote the pursuit of medicinal retribution toward the offender. I refuse also to let my mind be clouded by inconsistency and emotions that deter me from the purpose in this life. Your Honor, the price I pay each and every day for this resolve is to only get pieces and parts of my son. Inconsistently through time. But the pain is too heavy, and the anger too overwhelming, and the desire for vengeance too vexing. Instead, each and every day I pursue peace. I seek joy in my life and let the love I have for my wife and family flow in and out of me like a mighty wave. As I told Tisha regularly at the end of our relationship, my joy is mine alone, and she cannot rob me of that. I will learn to experience G more and more as time goes on, but as I did my best to instill into his precious soul, love, joy, service, and kindness are the pathway to take in life. This picture shows that in the 4th grade, he already had a mind for service. Throughout these past 3 years since Gannon was beaten and drugged, carved up, shot at point-blank range, and discarded like yesterday's garbage, I've encountered many people that would figuratively do the same to me. I've been questioned, compared as Tisha did to my abusive father, and ridiculed for my approach to finding Gannon. I hope now that the world has seen that I was assigned the most arduous task of finding Gannon in the only place that was possible for him to have been, in the mind of a killer. Were my efforts fruitful? I believe so. But from the moment I did not see the Volkswagen Tiguan, or however you say it, at French Elementary on that Tuesday evening, A clear direction for finding Gannon pointed directly and precisely at Tecia. While others online, some who are even in the courtroom today, question my perceived lack of effort or concern, I stood still and stood firm in knowing that only one person had the information needed to find Gannon. Now I say woe to the person who questions a father's resolve when the safety and well-being of his children are at stake. I did not waver. I did not falter in the pursuit, nor did I allow the mentality of the mob to shake me. But it was only by the grace of God that Gannon's precious body was finally found. In Mark 4:39 of the Bible, in the middle of a storm, Christ arose and rebuked the wind and said, "Peace, be still." In times of trial in my life, from seeing my father being taken away in handcuffs, to seeing that sweet 1 pound, 6 ounce baby boy for my firstborn son being put into a Ziploc bag after he was born to help regulate his body temperature, and now searching for and never finding my son again, I have but one choice, and that is the times of trial and tribulation to have that peace and be still. As I alluded to previously, that stillness does provide an easy target for many who do not understand peace, hope, and even faith. Some, including Tecia, feasted on my stillness, attacked, and yes, left several scars. One of these scars comes in the form of the financial and residential ruin that began in the early days of this ordeal. I'm just going to skip this part because I don't want to make this any more about me. I'm not seeking any restitution, Your Honor. For the $1.50 a month I received from the defendant, Tecia, would just keep me connected to her for the rest of my life, and I don't want that. So absolutely no restitution, Your Honor. The murderer of which I speak was not always such. When I met Tecia, she was beautiful, extremely intelligent, as many have testified to, and a seemingly successful woman. A far cry from the nappy-headed, murderous, narcissistic, and arrogantly flippant human being that sits in our midst today. Having a background in teaching, social work, higher education, certified babysitting, and endless amount of credentials, that should render one trustworthy when it relates to the safety of children. However, although she remains too much a coward to state the facts of what she did to Gannon, too much a lily-livered, self-centered, pathological liar to ask for forgiveness, and too much the facade of one who actually cares for others to have taken her frustration out on an adult or one who could defend themselves, she will one day give an account through her words or through her time. Sending pictures of Gannon sleeping to Landon and I was telling, as the boy looked pale and absent of the energies that so defined him. This is what a happy, healthy little boy looks like when he's sleeping in the next picture. That's what a little boy sleeping looks like. These pictures on the screen are of a happy, healthy little boy that's sleeping sweetly, healthily where he lay. The impact Tecia had as a result of this heinous crime stretches far wider and far deeper than I could depict through my statement today. 2 other people torn to pieces as a result of this are Gannon's sister, Lena, and Harley. Speaking of Harley, I feel as though I've lost 2 children as a result of this tragedy. One of which I will never see on this earth again, and the other which I do not know if a relationship can be salvaged with. Now for Lena. The video you saw as submitted in evidence, her bebopping down the street, is actually an excellent depiction of Lena and her happiness and her joy in life. She is very loving, trusting, and at times way too social. Normally, you might be concerned by your little girl talking to the utility guy working in the front yard, but in this case, it was the inside of her own home that was of grave concern. Nonetheless, her loss, Lena's loss, is like none I can even imagine. She lost her big brother, her only brother at the time. I still do not know if she has fully processed or fully understands the gravity of the situation, but regardless has pressed forward and is thriving as best as she can. I am so proud of her. And these are her words. Once again, they're in yellow, so I'll do the best I can. And this is what I asked her if she wanted to say anything to Tecia, and this is what she said in her sweetest mind that she has. That you do not do that to people, especially your stepkids. And that it is never all right to do these things. How sweeter of a response can you get? Now for my precious, premature firstborn son. Get it? I never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought you'd be in danger, buddy, or I know I wouldn't have not left you. at home with what turned out to be your murderer and the last person to ever see you on this earth. I'm so sorry. Through a father's eyes, children are truly a gift from God and among the best and most perfect creations God can make. Your Honor, I do need to clear one thing up with the defense. It was said both in the opening statement and in the closing. Somehow Gannon has been compared to a demon. And I understand the process. I do. But if they want to take the case up of Gannon being a demon, I will line people up from Alaska to Denver to Colorado Springs all the way to South Carolina to testify against them. Gannon was nobody's demon. I don't care how much anyone was abused or anything. He was not anyone's demon. Oh, okay. Gannon was truly my buddy. Very recently, before he died, the most alarming thing he did was call me dad. Up until age 10 or 11, I was daddy. But in the last months of his life, I was just dad. A signal that he was coming into those junior high, pre-teenage years. Another amazing thing that is he finally started asking me regularly to play ball with him. He was never too much into sports for most of his life, but that last 6 to 9 months, he really started enjoying playing ball. Some of the most memorable times were him running little 5-yard football routes in the street in front of our house. Most of the time he dropped the ball, but he kept asking, let's do it again. I almost had it that time, Daddy. Oh, and that Nintendo Switch. One of the most difficult pieces of evidence to give up was his Nintendo, because that probably has the most of him on it. Knowing I may never see that again is truly devastating. For him, many of his games were not just games, but a challenge to overcome, as I made him beat specific games before I would buy him the next one. I remember not long before he died, him beating the old school Zelda game he had. As he felt he was getting close to beating the final monster, he paused it, ran upstairs, and we sat at the kitchen island, and he beat it right there together with me. He was as excited as I ever saw him. With all of that and all of the pain of only being able to see him play through the one YouTube video he was able to make, which I'm about to play, I can sleep in peace at night because the father I am and the son he is was culminated as always in our final embrace as he ran out of arms and downstairs to watch Pokemon, I in his heart and he in mine. If we could try to play that video, just maybe the first 10 or 15 seconds of it.
Hey guys, and today I'm about to play some Sonic Mania.
Alright, let's zoom in.
And yes, cameraman is right here. Grandpa Star White Gaming. And yes, sign up for our channels. We're going to be doing a lot of these together. Give a shout out to him, his channel, Freedom.
Thank you. I was one of the many he hoped to make and the only one he was actually able to make. I do want to add something that I don't have in my speech that me and Landon already had a conversation about this, and I owe her an apology as well as she already gave me one, that we allowed Tisha to manipulate us into some of the pain and disagreements that we had between one another. And Landon, I'm sorry. But I will say this, Tisha was not the glue to keep everything together. She was not the answer. And this is not a jab, Landon, okay? But Lena still lives with me. Tisha, you were not the answer. Now, Your Honor, if I have any influence on the final sentence for Tisha, first I ask that it be stripped of my last name immediately. It's nauseating and infuriating to hear her called Miss Stauch this past 3 years. Secondly, I ask that for every mile she drove Gannon across the country, she spent 1 day in solitary confinement. I think that take us in between 3 and 4 years. After that journey is complete, I recommend her sentence be equal to every year she stripped off of Gannon's life, which for the average male in America right now is 77. So that would give her 66 more years in addition to the 11 he lived. Lastly, for every year of Harley's life that she abusively manipulated that child, she should have an additional year of prison. That adds 21 years to the total. I think without parole, that should suffice. I pray also that Tisha lives the fullest and happiest life that any inmate possibly can live. I also pray that every night before she falls asleep, her last breath before she drifts off sounds just like the breath that she describes Gannon breathing as life left his body. And that all through her sleep, she dreams of all the fun they had at Disney and other places we went throughout our time together. And that every morning as she is about to wake, the end of her dream, the last words Gannon spoke to her, screamed or cried, "Tisha, stop! You're hurting me! Why, Tisha? Daddy, help me! I want my mommy! Why couldn't you let her just be a mama's boy? That's all he wanted to be. He just loved his mama. I wish she would tell me what those words were so I would know." And then as she speaks those words, the sound of a gunshot goes off and she wakes. Every day and night, I pray she relives just those moments and then wakes up to a nice, warm, and kosher breakfast. In conclusion, I would like to share a picture of Gannon in his final state and find a resting place, and thank everyone that has had a positive impact on my family and I. To everyone that has shared the positive impact Gannon has had on your life, from a proud and broken father, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I'd like to pause until we can get that last photo up.
Not getting a feed from your laptop. It's fine. Oh, there it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Alan?
I think that concludes the comments from family and friends, Judge. So I'm not sure if you're ready to hear sentencing comments from me or if you want to do a different process.
Let me hear the sentencing comments from you. The last person that I always hear from in a sentencing is the defendant. So
okay. Can I have just a moment, Judge?
You may, go ahead.
Yeah, just in the abundance of caution, I would ask the court to keep restitution open for a period of time. Obviously, Mr. Stauch is not asking for any restitution, but there may be some that we want to submit, and so I would ask the court to keep that open.
Well, based on the new case regarding timelines, I'm going to give you 49 days to submit an order.
Thank you.
If there is an objection, you'll need to file the objection within 14 days after that. And that'll get us all right. So 49 days, 14 if there's an objection, and if there is, we'll have a hearing.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Judge, I'm not going to make a long drawn-out statement. I think the comments from the family and friends of the Stauch family said it better than I ever could about the impact that Gannon had on their lives. The loss of Gannon from his family and to this community will never be made right through this process. We all know that. The defendant, through her own actions, tore Gannon's family apart, tore this community apart. And at the same time, I've never seen a community come together the way this community did in the face of such tragedy. Over an 11-year-old boy who most of us never knew. The defendant manipulated this community, Gannon's family, the investigation. I've been a prosecutor for a long time, Judge. You've seen a lot of cases. I've never seen the kind of horror that this defendant brought down on a community and a family. The torture that Gannon had to suffer in the last moments of his life are unspeakable. No matter what sentence you give us, Judge, and I know what that sentence is going to be for the most part, no matter what the sentence is, we'll never bring Gannon back. But it will go a long ways towards healing this community. I hope healing Landon. I hope healing Al. They're going to live the rest of their lives second guessing every decision they made as it relates to leaving their children in the care of this defendant. Through no fault of their own. Judge, on count 1 and count 2 merges into count 1. The only sentence available is life in prison without parole. As to count 4, tampering with a deceased human body, driving Gannon's body over 1,300 miles away, hiding it from view, hoping it would never be found, asked for the maximum sentence of 12 years, Judge, and that it be running consecutive to the life in prison without parole. Tampering with physical evidence is an F6. It's 1 to 1.5 years. I ask that you give max on that as well and run that consecutive. Judge, we do have that other pending case, 20 CR 3170, hanging out there. In the grand scheme of things, well, I'd love to prosecute this defendant for that charge as well. In the interest of justice, I would like to see this defendant in Department of Corrections custody as soon as possible. And so we are dismissing that count or that charge. Thank you, Judge.
All right, at this point in time, the defense has an opportunity to present statements in mitigation. Mr. Tellini.
We understand what sentence is as a matter of law. It's now on the council. I don't have pre-sentence confinement for staff, so that she ordered that she be allowed to proceed in.
Give me an order.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Stauch, I heard what your attorney had to say, but I need to hear it from you. You have a right to address the court at this point in time regarding any matter that you want me to consider for sentencing. Do you have anything that you wish for me to consider, ma'am? All right.
Actually, there is.
Go ahead.
Consider this or request to admit, like to request for pretty places in San Carlos.
I don't have the ability to do that. DOC determines where its inmates go, and I'm not going to make a recommendation one way or the other. And I'm going to apologize before I do this. I've heard a lot. I want to take about 10 minutes to put my thoughts in order. I'll come back with my sentencing at 3:25.
All rise.
Wow. Holy cow. The judge has quite a tough job himself, so I don't blame him one bit for needing to take a few minutes to gather his thoughts so that he says it in the most professional and powerful way that he possibly can. Yes, the judge, prosecutor, and jury have all been amazing. I didn't hear what her attorney said the first time because he didn't have a mic next to him. I only heard the second part, and that was they were just asking, requesting that she be placed in San Carlos prison, I'm assuming, in Colorado, and the judge said that he does not have the ability to make that decision. Both Landon and Al's statements were just so powerful. Man, I was in tears. The only time that I caught Leticia showing any kind of emotion, really, like normal emotion, was when Al brought up Harley. And at that point, she did show some emotion. Then when he went on to say, when he was talking about what were possibly Gannon's last words, and that he loves his mommy and things like that, Leticia was rolling her eyes, just doing those kind of facial expressions, making it appear like, no, he didn't, that kind of thing, which I totally expect out of this witch. I think I was a little surprised that the neighbor made a statement. I wish that Harley would have. I do understand her age, and like I said in chat, I am sympathetic to her age. However, she is old enough that she could have made a very powerful statement on behalf of Gannon, who she supposedly loved as a stepbrother, and an extremely powerful statement to her mother. But we didn't get to see that, unfortunately. You guys let me know what you think in the chat. I need to take a break real fast, and then I'll be right back. Give me just one moment. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, my tea. I have been drinking so much tea today. I don't know if it's my nerves, but it's running right through me. Peacock said it's hard to say nasty things or go face to face with an abusive parent. That normally takes more years of therapy than Harley has had yet. And that's very true. Like I said, I do understand. I just kind of wish, you know. I also want Harley to heal from it all and to be able to move on as well. So, you know, there's that. I really liked Al's ideas of 1 day in solitary for every day of the past 3 years, plus what she's done to Harley. Real quick, if you guys don't mind and you haven't already, please hit the like. And if you're not already a subscriber, we would love to have you as a new subscriber. And we're just waiting on the judge to come back in. He was going to take a few minutes to collect his thoughts, and then he's going to say what he needs to say. If you're not yet a channel member, I'd love to have you as one. It's very inexpensive monthly, and it definitely helps the channel out, and it helps me to be able to continue to do these. But no pressure at all. I appreciate every one of you for being here. I loved how Al said, whatever, her and her kosher diet. Oh, and the judge, if you didn't catch it, the judge did appear to at least try to hold back some tears. And it's pretty obvious in the replay if you watch it. I don't know how he could not do that, you know. Gosh, I would have been. Her diet should be slop. I agree. I don't know about isolation though. What do you guys think? I obviously have never known anybody that's been in prison. I wonder if she'd have a harder time in the public part of it or the open part of prison as opposed to being in solitary confinement. Sam, did you make it in time to hear Landon's statements? They were both very, very good. They put an awful lot of thought into them, and they really hit home, and I hope they hit Leticia. And he's back, I believe. See, that's kind of how I think too, Peacock. Put her in general population. Let them have a hand at her. whatever happens, it's her fate.
A parent's worst nightmare is getting a phone call letting them know that something has happened to their child. How much worse must that nightmare be when law enforcement asks not for a picture of your loved one, but rather DNA and dental records? I've also heard it said that one of the worst tragedies a parent can experience is to outlive a child. I have known people, both professionally and personally, who have gone through that. It never leaves them, but the sharpness of the pain does diminish to some extent over time. I cannot fathom the pain Mr. Stauch and Ms. Bullard have experienced as a result of the defendant's actions. A sentence in a criminal case such as this will not change the fact that their son's life was taken from them, and no sentence I impose and nothing I say will ever change that fact. Ms. Stauch, you betrayed the person you loved enough to marry. You told your husband lies and took away someone he loved. You took away every day that Mr. Stauch or Ms. Bullard could have had with their son. When you take a life, regardless of how you do that, you forever alter the future. Neither Mr. Stauch nor Ms. Bullard will ever see their son graduate from high school, go through the joy and the pain of that first love, or get married. They will never know what kind of impact their son may have had on the world if only he had lived to become an adult. And had Gannon's body not been found, they never would have known what happened to Gannon. They would always have had a lingering doubt about what happened to Gannon. And I cannot imagine the pain and sense of loss associated with that. You betrayed your daughter, Harley Hunt. I cannot imagine the emotional impact that you have had on her due to your selfish and calculated actions. This is a young woman that trusted you to put her interests above yours. This is a young woman who believed in you and believed you were innocent of this crime right up until the time that you pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And she still loves you. That's natural for a child, and it doesn't matter how much older they get. You were supposed to protect her. I cannot imagine the guilt she feels or the therapy that she will need to address your betrayal. There is no evidence that she had anything to do with the murder or your cover-up of it, but some people still think that she is somehow involved. She wasn't. The incredible strength of will and courage that it took for her to come in and testify is amazing to me. But she did it because, as she said, it was the right thing to do. And while thankfully she didn't testify, let's not forget about Lena. You betrayed her too. You took her brother from her and forever altered her family dynamics. She will always wonder who she can trust and will always feel that loss. She was there the day you killed Gannon. His body was still in the house when she got back from school. At some point, you even claimed this 8-year-old girl helped you move her brother's body from the basement to the back of your car. That's just simply not true. As she gets older, Lena is going to want to know more, and she's going to want to know if there was something that she could have done to prevent this. I hope she comes to realize that she has no fault in all of this. You betrayed your stepson, and you took his life. You took away everything he was and everything he could ever become. I can't imagine the terror and confusion that he must have felt in the last moments of his life when he knew his life was being taken by someone he trusted to protect it. Your attempt to raise the claim that you did this because of your adverse childhood is also a betrayal of people that have mental health issues. It is no secret that there is a large part of our population that has mental health issues. It's also no secret that our country and our health system could do a much better job addressing mental health issues than it does. However, the number of people with mental health issues who become violent is small, and the number who become murderers is smaller still. Your claim that a mental health issue caused the murder in this case is a disservice to all those who struggle with mental health issues every day. This isn't the first case I have presided over in which sanity or a mental condition of the defendant has been raised as a defense. I have had cases where the defendant's mental condition caused the defendant to act out in a certain fashion. But even in those cases, I have never seen conduct like this. I understand the claim of dissociative identity disorder. I have seen something resembling that, and I have seen defendants with schizophrenic disorders. I can understand those. What I have seen is that the mental condition causes the person to act a certain way, and when they realize what they did, they are astonished by what happened, or they have no memory of what happened. Your claim is that it was another personality that murdered Gannon, but there is no time during the minutes, hours, and days following the murder where Leticia came out and wondered, gee, why am I carrying a body around in my luggage? That just isn't credible. You knew what you were doing. You made a number of clear and conscious decisions to cover or disguise what you had done. Claiming a lack of motive is a common defense tactic, and it can be a sound strategy. The truth is, however, that it only takes a moment to make a bad decision that results in disastrous consequences. And oftentimes, we never know why a defendant chose a particular course of action. However, that does not mean that they did not intend to undertake a course of action. Sometimes, as in this case, the likely explanation is anger. An 11-year-old boy with burns who feels that he's not being taken care of. An 11-year-old boy on the verge of being a teenager. Those of us who have lived through people or kids that were teenagers, we know how that is. It is not hard to imagine Gannon saying something, "You're not my mom. I want my mom. I want my dad." And that would be enough to make you really angry. But anger is not an excuse. A defendant is responsible for the choices they made and the actions they undertook, even though those choices arose out of or were motivated by anger. It's clear that you hated and were jealous of Landon Bullard. You saw yourself as a better mother than she was. It's clear from the evidence that you had some resentment from being left with Mr. Stauch's children. It's clear you had some resentment toward Mr. Stauch because he traveled as part of his job. Some of that manifested as early as Al's assignment in Alaska when you made allegations against the people in his unit. That caused Al to have to return from Alaska. And in one of the phone calls that were played for the jury, you talked about having to take care of his kids while he was away and what a good mother you were. It's clear you felt trapped. You wanted out. You were searching. Mr. Stauch had been gone on his new assignment for less than 2 days when the fire in the basement occurred. I can imagine that you saw your whole future consisting of taking care of Mr. Stauch's children while he was off doing his thing, and that's not the future that you wanted. I can imagine Gannon, at some point after he sustained his burns, telling you wanted his real mom and how that comment would have made you angry. You took your frustration and anger for the marriage, the child care, the absence of Al, and even living in Colorado. You took all of that out on Gannon. The evidence suggests you first stabbed Gannon repeatedly, 18 times. Based on the number of defensive wounds, he was clearly conscious for some of that. He was certainly gravely wounded. And chillingly, it would also explain how you were able to mimic the sound of Gannon breathing in one of your sessions with Dr. Lewis. Those were probably close to his last breaths. He was dying but not dead. The evidence could also lead one to conclude that he either fell or rolled off the bed where you shot him in the head and then beat him with the butt of a gun or a baseball bat. That would explain the blood found at different levels on the walls in Gannon's bedroom. I'm also reminded of the look you had on your face when you slipped your handcuffs while being transported back to Colorado and attacked Deputy James. I shudder to think that that was probably the last thing that Gannon saw before he died. You have shown no remorse throughout this process. Instead, you've made a choice to build a web of lies. When you gave an interview to Detective Jessica Bethel on January 29 of 2020, you lied to her about Gannon running away and that he was actually taken by a guy named Eduardo. When you explained that to Detective Bethel, you said you needed to lie because you didn't want to face the consequences. You told her that you were trying to come up with a plan about what you should do. And finally, you told her you really thought you could fix this. I think that's true. You lied because you didn't want to face the consequences. You needed to come up with a plan to fix this, and that plan involved covering up what you had done. It involved lie upon lie. But you slipped up at various points and let kernels of truth escape. In one conversation with Mr. Stauch, you told him the FBI needed to close the borders of Colorado, needed to close I-95. I-95 doesn't go through Colorado. It's an interstate that runs along the entire eastern seaboard. It's also not far from where you dumped Gannon's body. When questioned by Detective Bethel, you told her that Mr. Stauch might also make up some kind of story about you coming at him with a knife. You said you would never use a knife like that. Yet Gannon was stabbed 18 times. Your actions in this case also show a very conscious attempt to avoid responsibility in this case. You started out with a story that Gannon had run away. You gave some hints that it might be related to bath salts or drug use by Gannon. You stayed with that story until you were called into EPSO for an interview. You knew they weren't going to buy the story that Gannon ran away. Then you came up with the abduction. And you stayed with some iteration of that for a long time. But all of those versions had one thing in common. You were always the victim. In one, you're beaten and raped and Gannon was abducted. In one, someone stole Gannon out of a truck in the parking lot. In another, you let someone drive Gannon to a hospital to take care of a head injury that he had after falling off a bike. In all of them, you could claim it wasn't your fault. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then, you got arrested. You stuck to the story that it was someone else that took Gannon. During the hours that you spoke with Special Agent Grusing, He told you he thought sometimes good people do bad things and sometimes it's an accident. Then they found Gannon's body. Then you saw the mountain of evidence against you. And this is a mountain the size of Everest. What was your position after that? Well, it was an accident. And you, Leticia, didn't even do it. It was Maria Sanchez. You carefully crafted your new story to continue to avoid responsibility. It also allowed you to take advantage of the out that Mr. Grusing and Mr. Stauch suggested much, much earlier when they asked you if this was an accident. Now it was an accident. Your Maria Sanchez personality shot Gannon by mistake because she thought he was an intruder in a cape. Multiple personalities is not credible in this setting, as regardless of how many personalities you have, you only have one body. I have presided over cases where a mental disease or defect prevented a defendant from remembering the course of events, including the commission of the crime. Without exception, those defendants have been terrified when contacted by law enforcement because there was a period of time in their lives that they could not account for. Their body may have sustained an injury, and they don't know how it happened. They may have some new object in their house or on their person, and they have no idea where they got it from. We all have free will, and we all make choices based on that free will. The people who suffer from the mental disorder you claim are terrified because their free will has been taken from them, and they are being subjected to things and experiences they don't understand and don't have any recollection of. You didn't behave anything like that. One of the purposes is to impose an appropriate sentence for the criminal conduct that occurred. Another purpose is to punish an offender by imposing a sentence that takes into account the seriousness of the offense. Yet another purpose of sentencing is to prevent crime and promote respect for the law by providing an effective deterrent to others likely to commit a similar offense. Anyone who's been in my courtroom before knows that I've said sentencings are the most difficult thing that I do. That's especially true in cases where someone has lost his or her life. Nothing I or the law can do will ever bring that person back. I have handled hundreds, if not thousands, of criminal cases over the years. I think at this point in my career, I've presided over something like 200 jury trials. I've sentenced hundreds more defendants pursuant to plea agreements. This is not the first murder case that has come before me. This is not the first case I have presided over which involves harm to a child. This is not the first case I have had where a person who was in an unhappy marriage committed a crime. Sadly, statistically, there is a high correlation between violent acts, including murders, and family members. I have had a number of cases which have demonstrated one person's capacity for cruelty toward another human being. I can, however, say without hesitation that the facts in this case are the most horrific I have ever seen. Your conduct in this case deserves the maximum punishment that I can impose under Colorado law. As such, with respect to the charge of first-degree murder after deliberation, I remand you to the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. With respect to the charge of murder in the first degree of a child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, I remand you to the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. Those two sentences will merge. If you have questions about that, you can ask your attorneys. With respect to the charge of tampering with a deceased human body, I'm also going to sentence you to 12 years, followed by a 3-year period of parole. That sentence is to be consecutive to the life sentences that I've already imposed. With respect to tampering with physical evidence, I'm going to impose an 18-month sentence. That sentence is also consecutive to the to the sentences for the murder charges that I have imposed. I also understand, with the consent of the prosecution, and I'm assuming no objection from the defense, that I will dismiss all the charges in 20 CR 3170, close that out, subject to restitution, give the people 49 days for restitution, 14 days for response, and if there's an issue, we will set it within the 90 days, from. I think that resolves all outstanding matters. Is there anything else that the prosecution wishes for me to address?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Defense? Court will be in recess.
That's right, teabag, 2 life sentences, and Gannon has justice. Amazing. I imagine that there will be a press conference, so I'm going to keep an eye out for that. And if so, I'll start a new live just for that, so that this one doesn't contain, so many different things. I wondered where my background went. All right, so 2 life sentences. Her third charge, tampering with evidence, was 12 years, 3 years of parole, consecutive to her life sentences. And then the fourth charge, 18 months, consecutive to life sentences. So she is never going to get out of prison. Hallelujah. The judge was amazing. There's not much else to say, is there? I think it's finally come to an end. Hopefully Gannon's family will find some peace. Peace now that I'm sure that they haven't been able to have since this nightmare began for them. Absolutely, Peacock. Thank you guys for being here. I really, truly appreciate you. We will be doing more lives. And I hope that you guys will join me for those as well, even though they'll be on other cases. That would be wonderful. So for now, I'm going to end this live. I feel emotionally just kind of overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is probably the best word. I'm super, super happy, though. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So with that, let's end this live. Gannon got his justice. I am thrilled for that. And if they do a press conference, I will go live again with just that press conference. Yeah, Peacock, I think that's kind of how I feel. A little numb, overwhelmed, and I just want to kind of take it in as well. I have a couple of videos to post. I will post separate ones of just his mom's victim impact statement and just his dad's separately. So I'll work on those. I'll keep an eye out for any press conferences. And if they do have one and I'm able to, I will bring it to you. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Please give the video a like. Again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell so that you get notifications, even though they only work half the time. But I appreciate you guys. And until then, I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.